Two. So we have Mr. Marvin Rouse in the building. Give it up for Mr. Marvin Rouse.
Yeah.
And y'all
Appreciate
know
it.
him, but you don't know that you know him, and you're gonna find out why you know him in just a second. I don't think.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just start from the beginning. Like where you're from, where are you from? How did you start your career as an artist? Give us that first. Set us up on a journey.
Yeah. I started here in Naptown, Indianapolis. Back in 1976 is when I was born. And I say probably about 5 years old, my uncle was the first to inspire me into art. He was having some grits one early morning. I was staying with my grandmother, and he scribbled out a card real quick, and I was just like, he made that out of nothing, you know. And before then, I was really into. Okay, all right, got it. Thanks. So he ended up sketching this car out of nothing, just like from nowhere. Here's a blank piece of paper. He creates a car, and I was in awe. I was like, I'd never seen that before. And prior to that, I was doing coloring and coloring books, but never seen any like art come to life. And that's what from that point on, I was like mimicking from all the cartoon characters, and that's really where it started, yeah, here in Indianapolis.
Wow. So you started, at your family's house, and then you told me you were doing the puff paint. I thought that was fun. I remember puff paint.
Yeah.
So then how did it progress? So you went from there, how did you become where you are today?
Okay, so that was a long, I think when you acknowledge that you have a dream early on, you start moving in that direction, and there's like something inside of you that just has this like attraction to creativity. And I would, as a young kid, even at 5 and 6 years old, I would hold up Jolly Ranchers to the sun, and I could feel the color of the light coming through. And from that, I got into going to school, and pretty much anybody that knew me from like middle school and up, grade school and up, knew that I was an artist, and that was like something that was special, and I was getting attention back from people like, oh, that's really good. Like you have something special. And so I continued it. It was doing like kids projects at school when they needed an art, like something painted or drawn, or it was some project, you always come to me. And then I'd say like when I was at West Lane, I started doing puff paint. This was like on jeans and jean jackets. And then it went from the puff paint to the airbrush. And so then in 98, 95, I started my own business. I had a powerful thing that took place in my life where I had a dream and God changed my life. And so from that dream, I started to pursue more of my gift, like from a business standpoint. And so at 18, I started my business here in Indianapolis and was doing murals around the city, working with like Top Speed and these DJs doing backdrops where they would have people taking photos. I was doing album covers, and that would be around 95, 96. And then in 98, I got the opportunity to move from Indianapolis to Naples, Florida. And I pursued my career in Naples as an artist, but I started a business where I was doing creative solutions, doing murals and decorative paintings. So when I'm not selling my art, doing like paintings, this was helping me grow my entrepreneurial skill sets and then the creativity. So
I heard you say you were doing airbrush, like t-shirts and stuff. You have a clothing line, right?
Yes.
So tell us about, is it Rouse clothing?
Yeah, it's called Rouse. The logo is an R, but it's like the symbol of a prayer symbol. And it's 3 parts of the symbol, and it's all about having this relationship through communication. So the prayer symbol represents like the highest, it's hard to kind of explain it, but the highest relationship that we can have is with that power within us, and then that kind of ripples out to the people that we have relationships with, So the brand is about that creativity and having relationships with people in that creative realm, so you can wear something that's cool with color that represents me, and my inspirations. And a lot of the art reflects what you see in this piece here. So the clothing line is more just my art on the clothing versus me designing things, and it'll move to that. But it's just like that way for people to be able to have other platforms to see the work, and then a moving, like if you're rocking a shirt and you're out in public, people are seeing it, so yeah.
So I've heard you do clothing, you do murals, but then have y'all been to what is that, Hall A?
Yeah, Hall
And y'all
A,
saw
yeah.
that the butter sculpture. Have y'all seen? This is this guy. He created the butter sculpture. So tell us, like, number one, what is it made from, and like, how did you get the idea, and when did you start doing sculpting?
No, the sculpture came on. I went overseas, and prior to that, I was always like hearing in my head, "Oh, you should sculpt. You should like get something and create with your hands." Because I always like doing it in the sand at the beach. And after coming back from Milan and going to Amsterdam and where else was I? In Venice, there were so many sculptures over there. I was so inspired. I got back, went to Michael's, and started, sculpting with this clay, and I had a few cool pieces born. But then I started working with styrofoam, and for years with my company, I was doing beams and faux those, and we would do installations that looked like wood, but it was all styrofoam. And so when I got the opportunity to be a part of butter, I was like, oh, I just want to do this big, huge stick of butter, and have it like on an angle, like it just got smashed into the floor on whatever the surface is, and it's kind of dripping, melting. And the scale to be big so that took it from, we're used to seeing a stick of butter this big, and if you made it big and make it really represent what this whole movement and the culture that's being created around butter, that this would be something special to share with people if we could pull it off. And Alan was on board and Brady was on board to do something cool. So I started the design process, and it's actually made out of foam. And the guy in Naples where I would get my foam from, where I used to paint on a lot of foam because canvas was so expensive. He would cut it for me, and I could just paint right on the styrofoam. So I ended up doing it in the installation. If you ever seen the installation at Home Depot, that's got the Pink Panther on it. It's just this really cool 4x8 sheets by 2 inches. So being from Naples, I had to have everything shipped to my buddy's house here in Indianapolis, and I flew in, everything was there, and then I assembled and built it all right here in Indianapolis. I wanted to do something that was actually done in the city rather than all of my work being shipped that was going to be a part of the exhibition being done in Florida, so I could have the energy of the city in that piece that was going to be shared with so many.
It's really cool. So if you have a chance, if you haven't already, go see the butter sculpture. Is it Hall B?
Hall A.
It's Hall A, okay. Hall B is outside. So Hall A, there's a butter sculpture. Go take a picture in front of it. It's really good for your selfies. So I want to kind of move the interview into like more of like what inspires you, or who inspires you the most to create and to start an art piece?
I'd say the fuel comes from the passion, and I would have to say that's the purpose and gift giver, and that's God. So that's really like all the energy and the flow, and how the unique voice eventually comes out to share something, different with people. So the people are the next inspiration, because they're the ones that's getting to receive what's coming from inside of me, and my family, of course, but they're always there. And when you get the opportunity to share with so many people, like a platform like this, and then what I get to do, and you got social media, but the inspiration is, first of all, that fuel and passion is God, and then it's to the people, that being able to create and give something unique to the people. One thing I love about my art is that you're seeing something for the first time. Like, it's not something that you see as a photograph, or if you're painting a building. I do all of that too. I paint animals. I've been commissioned to paint people's cars. I mean, I do sculptures, like all this. Anytime anybody gives me an opportunity creatively, it's like I'm on it. Even if it's a challenge, it's like that's how I expand and grow as an artist, is to take on the opportunities when they're scary or when I don't know anything about them. So the people and God are my inspiration.
I like how you said you like to scare yourself.
Yeah,
So I think sometimes our greatest breakthrough is on the other side of what we're scared to do.
Absolutely.
And if we would just step out and do it, then we could it would just open up doors, and you just never know what would happen. Let me see. What else do I want to ask you, Mr. Marvin Rouse? Why do you think, I mean, you've known Alan and you know Alan for a while. Why do you think it's important for something like Butter to exist? But then also, why is it important for you as an artist to present at this particular art show?
This is history. Like I think the majority of people that are been partaking in it and that are aware of it. Like if you, the only reason why, like it's the people that aren't aware of it. If they were aware of it, they'd be here too. It's just a super duper special, not only event but a movement. You know, to give a platform to these really super talented creatives. And not only that, I mean, from the staff to everyone that's been involved, like this is epic, and especially for the city. But it's a model that can be, you know, used across the globe. You know, where there's the light on artists and art that only go through certain channels. We're at that particular space and time in history where, because of social media and technology, the platform to share and interact is so much more than it was previously, that you can really get a good look at how many artists and how many talented, beautiful souls there are out there that need platforms like this to really expose them and connect them to those that are interested in supporting it from a monetary side. So that the things that, like for a long time in my career, I had to do both, you know, so I'm doing, getting creative in the entrepreneurial side to see what in my environment, you know, as far as business is concerned, those creative skills can be used to make money.
Right.
So Rouse Designs in Naples has become incredibly successful by applying that. And I'm like a one-man band, but we do a lot of huge projects and we do a lot of fun stuff, and it's all got creativity involved. And when you have something like Butter that gives artists an opportunity to get to where they're 100% into their art, then they have all their time and energy to be able to create, and then they're connected with the community, they're connected with collectors, they're connected with companies. I mean, I've been a part of that, and it's amazing the networking that's going on and the people that I've met in the city.
True, true. So, my last question before I get what you're doing next is, how do you balance it all? I've heard you say a lot
Yeah.
of different things.
Yes.
Just all the things that you do. Where does the balance come from? Or how do you balance it?
The balance comes from being able to understand how to put your priorities in order to where you're giving your energy. Because if you always, I like what the founder of Amazon said. This guy's like, you know, it's everybody's always after balance, but it's really harmony. And with harmony, you can have multiple strings, you know, like a guitar. And as long as they're in harmony, their vibration, it's like singularity. Everybody's just on their same. So when those strings are communicating in the tune where they're in, you know, the right vibe with each other, then everything is always beautiful, right? It's not like you're playing and you know what note, but it's not the right tune, so then it sounds weird and everybody feels it. But my kids, my wife, they're all patient, and, you know, even me to myself, you just prioritize, like, it's time to get some rest. So when this is done, I relax, I reward myself, but I also am so excited that you enjoy doing what you love to do and creating and being able to give and receive this reciprocal energy from the people that you're experiencing with, that you're like so hype on it, you know, that it's hard sometimes even go and rest because you're filled with so much energy enjoying it all. But you say, okay, I've learned this, I'm going to go and rest, you know, I'm going to move to the next thing, and then you're juiced up instead of being kind of partially yourself. So it's harmony. I think harmony is the way that you balance it all out. Because if, you know, if you got a whole lot going on over here, then you got to go over here and try to figure out how much do I add to that to bring it balance to it. But with harmony, it's a different perspective. It's just like it all works out if you're communicating, you know, to those people that are part of that balancing out, so that nobody's missing out.
Oh, thank you so much. So, what is coming up next for you? Do you have anything that you would like to share? Do you have any drops?
Yes.
Any?
Yeah, a lot of great things. I just moved into my new gallery downtown Naples, Florida. It's a studio gallery. It's like a huge dream come true. I mean, I literally was homeless here in Indianapolis. I mean, I got kicked out at 16. Yeah, I mean, my mom didn't play. She was like, okay, you don't want to follow the rules, you can go. 16 years old, but she was a great mom. She raised 5 kids. I got 4 siblings. And my little brother passed away last year. But in that, it was 5 of us, and she raised us all in this city on her own with the support of family and friends. But all really from her soul, you know, and keeping us together and fighting through all of the hardships. And I watched her, and I was always like, I'm going to make it one day so I can give back, you know, so that she can know that she's special. You know what I mean? So, and there's so many mothers that have done that. So many have been in that perspective and in that environment. And I just like, she was like, you got to go, you know, you're not doing. So at 16, I was out on my own, and then God changed my life. I had a dream, and I was always pursuing my art and all of that. And then you end up like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. And you get in this relationship with this power that's in you that you can't really describe, but it's guiding you and it's giving you the energy and leading you and ideas. And so you just keep moving. And no matter how challenging it is, the more you get out of your comfort zone and you overcome those challenges, the more power you exude. So you really become who you really are in the journey. And so from being, you know, here in Indianapolis, going through all of that great stuff, to being in Naples, Florida, where there's a crazy amount, there's 100 galleries like in Naples alone. Like it's so much demand on the arts, and they're just now starting to get out of the traditional art and accept more of the contemporary. And it's like what's going on. So really, you can go to Miami and do butter. You can be in New York and do a butter. You can be in Africa and do butter. You can be in Brazil
That
and
might
do a
be a
butter.
thing. You never know.
I mean, it's something that you got talent that's always, you know, being born, and it doesn't matter how old you are. You know, you got to know that we all are so special, and we have something in us that's the idea of the seed that is to come out so that other people can see when you grow what beautiful tree you become and what kind of fruit you produce, so that they can enjoy it too. You know, and that's the whole purpose of this life.
Well, congrats again for the gallery. I mean, that's
Yes.
amazing. So does anyone have questions for Marvin before? Okay, we do. I'm coming to you. Wait. Okay. I'm coming to you. There you go. Oh, you're welcome.
How you doing, Marvin?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Loud. My name's Eric, by the way. I'm a aspiring artist.
Yes.
One thing that I've been seeing, I guess, which I want to ask you on too, is, and social media tends to be this great resource for people to get their art out there, for it to be visible and all that kind of stuff. But at times, it can also distract from the actual work that needs to be done to be able to get you from being, you know, just an artist to an art business person. And so my question for you is like, how did you go about building your brand as an artist without social media, like outside of social media? So,
Do you know that was huge, and that's what they like call grassroots marketing. Like everything's going to go back to marketing. Like you have to be able to communicate like in a direct way, and and especially like what you're doing, you have to communicate it to people, know where you want it to go. So it's just not like everywhere. You direct the energy in the right spot, and even if you don't know, you'll know by being out there.
Exactly.
So it's just getting yourself out there, letting people see what it is you're creating, and then share it. And then as far as making a business about it, that is reading books, you know, and then I didn't go to, like I said, I got kicked out of high school. I was literally, you know, dyslexia. But right after that same year I got kicked out, I went to North Central High School, by the way. And no, go ahead, give some love. I went to North Central, and that was like 90 to 94. And then I got kicked out a semester before I was supposed to graduate or whatever. So then I was already pursuing my art career. I'm out there, you know, hustling, selling. And I had got a job graveyard across the street at Amoco. And the owner of the gas station would let me paint at night because there wasn't a lot going on. Yeah. And people would come in and they're like, what are you doing in a gas station? You know, working at a gas station with this painting like this. And I was like, well, this is where I'm supposed to be right now. And if I was supposed to be somewhere else, God would have me there. But it's powerful to know that no matter where you're at in this moment right now in your life, like there's way more grand like in the future when you direct your energy and your emotions and your passion toward it. There's nothing that can tell you no.
yeah.
So it's just a matter, only that's you and your own mind. You have everything in you to make, you know, everything happen. You just have to take action. So read books. You know, now with social media, it's easier to get out there and be exposed, but always stick to the grassroots side where that's getting in the community, taking advantage of any opportunities to share your work. when I first got to Naples, here's this swanky, super affluent environment, and I'm down there with my little portfolio with these, the paintings. I mean, they were what they were then. They were good, but I didn't even realize what I was walking into, these fine art places and how exclusive they are. But I knew that I had to take some action, and I went to like every gallery downtown, and they all turned me away. They were like, looking at me weird walking in. But there was one that was an Eckerd gallery that originally was here in Indianapolis and there. And they were the only ones that kind of gave me like a positive, come back and see us. But everybody else is like, shut. And then the one guy that I had met, I did my first little show with him. He gave me an opportunity. And the piece didn't sell, but I got out there and I did the experience. Some of the greatest are always told, no, 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 no. You aren't going to make it. You don't have anything. That's Michael Jordan. You hear about any of them, man. And you think about the voices they had to fight with in their own head, Yeah. If somebody else is saying no, and then there's always somebody comes up and says, wow, I like something about what you're doing here. And you get that confidence to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
So just move forward in it, man, and learn as much as you can.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Does anyone else have questions? Oh, wonderful.
Hi, my name is Destiny. My question is, I heard you earlier mention that some of the pieces that you've done have been challenging. So I want to know what was like your most challenging piece that you had to do, and what was like your driving force to complete it?
Well, it seems like the commissions are the challenging ones because there's an expectation. Mm-hmm. And then therefore creative to be able to not only envision, but to have it critiqued in a way that it's still a unique expression of the artist when you're fulfilling something. And a lot of my career, why I feel I was blessed to move to Naples was because there was a big demand on murals and doing all these various types of art. Like before I got here, I just did 2 tray ceilings that was like big pieces of stone that were painted with 3 or 4 tones in a ceiling. And you get paid really well for it, but it's when you do a commission in the art, like somebody, like for example, an old Korean war vet wanted the Washington monument of the Korean. I don't know if you've ever seen that in DC, the big 8-foot statues. They're all concrete statues. So he gave me a photo and was like, I want this. I was in the war, da 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 da. And so I did it, and it was right around the time I put on an event there at my mentor's place on the beach called Art on the Beach. And the old man came to it, and his piece was one of the favorites of this. But when I went to give it back to him after the commission was done, it was challenging because you got light and you got, a realistic value that has to be created that looks like the real thing. It's not like when I'm doing an abstract and it's just my imagination being free. There's no limitations, there's no expectations. But when you're painting something that's realistic, you have to have that value and that feeling present in it. So it's a lot more energy that goes into it for me. And then as far as challenging. And then so when I got there with the painting, I show it to him and he was like, looks at me, then he looks back at the painting and he looks at me again. He said, you painted this? And I was like, yeah, I painted it. And then he looks at me and says, all by yourself? And I was like, well, God helped me, but no physical. And it was just the perception. I hadn't experienced that somebody looks at a painting and they're like, you really did this by yourself? Like, because it had so much power that he experienced. So all that challenging energy that I was challenged with was being built momentum into the feeling that was going into that piece. And he felt it and ends up being like the favorite at the Art on the Beach thing. And so what was the second part of your question?
What was the driving force to like help you complete the challenging? So I guess the challenge itself.
Because when you realize that, even in life, because we're all creating whether we acknowledge it or not. So even though if you're not painting or you're not writing or you're not rapping or singing, we're all creating every single day. We got emotions and our mind is at act. We have people around us that we're affecting. So you have choices. We're all creating all the time. And so when you realize that, you become more purposeful about it. And so that energy to me is the most important. So if I'm doing something, every event that I do, interacting with people, I'm putting all of my heart and soul into it because we're all that special to each other. And when we acknowledge that, you get events like this, like Butter, where you have such a mix of culture and everybody here is on a good vibe and you're enjoying the art and the creative energy. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's all we have time for
All right.
audience questions. So tell people how they can get in contact with you.
Back to the social media, it's probably about the easiest way is at Instagram. I'm Rouse_art, or you can go to rouseart.com, which is house with an R, Rouse.
All right. So thank you so much you've been a great interviewee because you like to, expound on what you mean. So that was great. Thank you so much. So ladies and gentlemen, give Mr. Marvin Rouse a round of applause. Give
Thank
him
you very
some.
much.
That was really informative and
Thank you.
inspiring. Thank you so much.
Big up to Butter.
Oh, what? Go
No,
ahead.
big up to Butter and everybody that's a part of this right now. You're a part of history. Everybody
Yes.
that's involved, this is
Real
huge
talk.
history.
Real talk.
Yeah.
All right, so up next, we got DJ Cleopatra on the ones and twos. Hey, take us out, girl.
Yes.
You know how it feels.